how you can tell who's crazy and who's not. All right. So here's a little whiteboard that I put together just to kind of summarize it. So this is the who's crazier. Now, you know the basic definition of crazy is that if you do the same things over and over again and they don't work, that's the definition of crazy. So let's see if Trump or the anti-Trumpers are doing the same thing over and over again and it not working. Which one of them is doing that? Because that would tell you who's crazy, right? So we see Trump, who often says things which are not true. Now, he might be doing it deliberately. He might simply have less information and not care. So sometimes he's just misspeaking. It's not really a lie, and it's not that he doesn't care. He was just talking about a lot of stuff, and some of it came out wrong. Very normal things. So in this case, it doesn't matter for what I'm talking about now. It doesn't matter why he did it, all right? Because you can never really get in somebody's head that far. But he says a lot of things that simply don't pass the fact-checking. And what's the result of that? Well, take the case of Sweden, which is typical. What he does is he makes you think about that thing that wasn't true until it becomes true. So he said something terrible happened in Sweden, and you said, that's not true. And then you looked into it, and then the media said, well, we better at least see what's happening in Sweden. There must be something happening in Sweden. And next thing you know, there's all kinds of stories about how Sweden is having their own immigration problem with crime. Now, I'm not going to give an opinion about how bad it is or how bad it's, or how good it is. The only point is that Trump, through his in a non-factual statement, made you think about exactly what he wants you to think about, which is, hey, immigrants might bring with them crime. And maybe it's already happening in Sweden, and that's a good example to look at. Now, what would be less crazy than continuing to do something that works every time? And it works just the way he wants it to work. Now, he could try to be honest every time. How would that work? Well, it would work like it worked for Jimmy Carter. It sort of wouldn't work at all. Because first of all, you don't think anything a politician says is terribly true to begin with. So the truth has a limited usefulness in politics. But it wouldn't work. It wouldn't make you focus where you wanted to. It just wouldn't get the job done. Now let's look at the anti-Trumpers. What do? So they've got a go-to as well, which is no matter what he does, especially if he says something that's untrue or just something they don't like, they say, he's Hitler, he's a dictator, he's a fascist, he's Hitler. How does that work out for them? Because it's their go-to. It's what they do all the time, right? So if you're doing something all the time and it works, you are perfectly sane, and you're not only sane, you're probably a good role model. But if you do something that destroys your entire political party, not only in the present, but possibly in the future forever, like you've literally made your entire political party irrelevant, I gotta say that's not the best strategy. So here we have Trump using a continuous strategy of hyperbole, he would call it, but other people would say, that damn liar. Doesn't matter what you label it, the facts don't match, all right? Whether you're for him or against him, we all agree on that, right? His facts are not going to pass the fact-checking too often. But his outcomes, let's see, he made billions of dollars, he won the presidency when nobody thought he would, the stock market's up, consumer optimism is up, hasn't been a terror attack lately, and he's making you focus on his priorities. That's all working. Not only that, but it keeps working. Every time he does it over and over and over again, and every time it works. These people, hasn't worked yet. Zero success. And all they get is this. But according to them, this situation describes Trump being crazy. Now, I'm not going to defend Trump's mental state. He is a certain age, and when you get that age, especially when there's some dementia in the family, I think, you can't rule out that there might be some dementia crawling in there. I'm not going to be the guy that makes that case. I don't know what's happening inside his skull. I can just tell you what's happening outside of his skull. And the things he's doing is working consistently. And the things the other side is doing fail consistently.